Sophia Matthews, a woman whose appearance belied her true wealth and status, was unjustly humiliated and escorted out of the Horizon Resort due to her modest attire. What the resort's arrogant manager, Adam Turner, failed to realize was that in just 30 minutes, her billionaire husband's yacht would arrive, and a perfect revenge was already set in motion. This story is a powerful reminder that true worth is not always visible at first glance. Sophia Matthews walked into the Horizon Resort, feeling a little out of place. The floor was shiny and made of marble, and the lights from the big, beautiful chandeliers made everything look fancy and bright. The walls were decorated with big, expensive-looking paintings and gold frames. The place looked like it came straight out of a movie. Sophia was wearing a simple beige dress. It was nice but not fancy. When she looked around, she saw people in really expensive clothes, wearing sparkling jewelry, looking like they belonged in a place like this. But Sophia didn't mind. She had just finished helping at a small boutique, reviewing donations for a charity auction. Now she was at the resort to make sure everything was ready for tonight's big charity event. The gala for the Matthews Foundation was very important to her, and she wanted to make sure it was perfect. She knew this place was full of rich people, but she didn't care. She was just here to get the job done. A lot of years ago, when she first started working for her charity, she ran events from her grandmother's basement. She was used to doing everything herself, and she still liked to handle things that way. "I'm here to check on the arrangements for tonight," Sophia said to the young receptionist at the front desk. The receptionist looked at her, and her smile disappeared when she saw Sophia's simple dress. She didn't know what to make of her. "Do you work for one of our guests?" the receptionist asked, her voice a little unsure. Sophia smiled calmly. "No, I'm attending the charity gala tonight, the Matthews Foundation reservation." The receptionist looked at the screen, typing away on her keyboard. She seemed confused when she couldn't find Sophia's name. "I don't see your name here. Are you staff for the foundation?" Sophia stayed calm. "I'm the founder," she said. "My husband William should have called ahead. He'll be arriving by Yacht later." Just then, a man walked up. He was tall, wearing a fancy suit, and looked like he was in charge. He was Adam Turner, the resort's general manager. He overheard their conversation and came over to see what was going on. "I'm Adam Turner. Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice a little too confident. Sophia turned to him and said, "I'm Sophia Matthews. I'm attending the gala tonight." Adam looked her over, eyes going from her simple dress to her face. His expression didn't change, but he didn't look convinced. He smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Ma'am, this is a private resort," he said, his voice a little cold. "The Matthews Foundation Gala is a very special event. Maybe there's been some confusion." Sophia didn't get upset. She just nodded calmly. "There's no confusion. I'm Sophia Matthews. My husband and I." Before she could finish her sentence, Adam interrupted with a loud laugh. "Mrs. Matthews? A philanthropist married to William Matthews wouldn't be arriving alone and dressed like that," he said, pointing to her plain dress with a sarcastic smile. Sophia reached into her purse to get her ID, but Adam waved his hand like it didn't matter. "Please, anyone can make a fake ID these days," he said, dismissing her. Sophia could feel the eyes of everyone around her. People were starting to whisper and take out their phones to record what was happening. It felt like she was the center of attention, but she didn't let it bother her. She kept her calm, even though she could feel her heart beating faster. "Please don't make this difficult," Adam said, his voice colder now. "We can't have just anyone claiming to be important." Sophia noticed that a woman in a white blazer was recording the whole thing with her phone. She knew the story would spread quickly, and that was fine. She didn't need to argue. She just needed to stay calm and let the situation play out. "I understand," Sophia said, her voice steady. "May I at least use the restroom before I leave?" Adam hesitated for a second. He looked like he wanted to say no, but then he nodded sharply. "Make it quick," he said, sounding impatient. Sophia walked past him and the two security guards who had appeared at his signal. She walked through the grand lobby, feeling the eyes of the other guests on her. As she reached the front door, she could hear Adam's voice shout after her. "Perhaps next time you'll make a reservation under your own name," Adam yelled, his voice carrying through the lobby. "We only host the Matthews Gala because Mr. Matthews is a valued patron. His wife is known for her taste, something not everyone possesses." Sophia didn't turn around. She kept walking with her head held high, her steps steady. She didn't let his words get to her. When she reached the door, she turned to him and said softly, "I'll be sure to pass along your hospitality to my husband." Adam chuckled. "Yes, I'm sure he'll be impressed with your imagination, though I doubt he exists, much like your supposed connection to the Matthews." As Sophia stepped outside, the warm coastal air hit her face. She walked slowly down the long driveway of the resort, her footsteps calm and unhurried. She could hear the whispers and see the eyes of the resort staff following her, but she didn't let it bother her. She was used to being judged by her appearance, and she knew this was just one more moment she could handle. She turned left when she reached the street and walked along the oceanfront promenade that ran beside the resort. The view was beautiful, and she found a small, quiet cafe with a perfect spot to sit. She ordered an iced tea and took a deep breath, trying to relax. She checked her watch. It was just over an hour until William's yacht would arrive. There was time to think, time to plan. Sophia wasn't worried. She had faced worse situations in her life before meeting William. She had worked long hours in several jobs to put herself through school. She had been overlooked and judged many times because of how she looked. William had always offered to step in and make sure everyone knew who she was, but she had always refused. She wanted people to see her for who she truly was, not just for her last name or her husband's wealth. People who judge books by their covers, she had told William before, deserve the surprise when they find out what's inside. Sophia smiled, remembering that conversation. She knew that today would be one of those surprises. As Sophia walked through the lobby, she noticed a woman in a white blazer standing off to the side. The woman was holding her phone out, holding it at a slight angle, clearly recording what was happening. Sophia knew exactly what this meant. The gossip was about to spread, and soon enough, the whole resort would be talking about the unwelcome guest. The manager, Adam Turner, had made sure of that. Sophia's heart didn't race. She wasn't afraid of the drama. Instead, she felt a small, knowing smile tug at her lips. She'd been in situations like this before where people misjudged her based on her simple appearance. She could feel the eyes of the other guests on her, and although they were whispering, Sophia was calm. She wasn't upset by the attention. In fact, she knew exactly how to use it to her advantage. She had always believed that people who judged others based on first impressions, on things as shallow as looks or status, would soon learn a valuable lesson if she let them. And she would make sure they did, but she didn't need to fight for it. Life had a way of turning the tables. "I understand," she said calmly, her voice steady and even. She gave Adam Turner a polite smile. "May I at least use your restroom before I leave?" Adam hesitated, not quite sure how to react to her calm demeanor, but he nodded curtly. "Make it quick," he ordered, his voice still cold, but now with a hint of impatience. Sophia didn't argue. She simply walked toward the restroom, feeling the eyes of the guests on her back, knowing that she was leaving an impression, though not the one they thought. Inside the elegant restroom, the cool, polished walls seemed to whirl away from the tension she had just faced. The peaceful silence of the restroom was a welcome relief. Sophia locked herself in a stall, took a deep breath, and pulled out her phone. She knew exactly what needed to be done now. She quickly typed a brief, straightforward message to Diane, her trusted executive assistant. It was the code they had come up with for situations like this, times when Sophia was dismissed or underestimated because of her appearance. The message was clear. The wheels were already in motion, and the plan was set. It would take just 2 hours before everything would turn around. Sophia's phone buzzed almost instantly with the reply, "Understood, initiating protocol." She smiled as she read the message. She and William had created this system after she had been judged too many times by people who didn't see her for who she truly was. They had learned that sometimes it was better to let people think they knew who you were, only to surprise them when they least expected it. Instead of confronting the unfairness directly, Sophia had found that letting things play out naturally often made the lesson stick better. People rarely forgot when they were proven wrong, especially when it came with a dose of humility. Sophia tucked her phone back into her purse, standing up and taking one last look at her reflection in the mirror. She wasn't angry. She wasn't upset. Instead, she felt a quiet sense of power. This moment wasn't about defending herself, it was about letting life unfold in a way that made the truth impossible to ignore. Sophia took a deep breath as she exited the restroom, feeling the weight of the eyes on her again. She knew what was coming next. As soon as she stepped into the hallway, she saw the two security guards waiting for her, their arms crossed firmly in front of their chests. Their presence made the air feel a little heavier, but Sophia didn't let it shake her. She walked past them, her head held high, with a quiet confidence in every step. The grand lobby of the resort stretched before her, with its polished floors and towering columns. The guests who had been watching earlier now seemed to be more interested in their phones than in her, but she could still feel their gazes following her every move. As she walked, she heard the sound of footsteps behind her. It was Adam Turner, the general manager, striding confidently toward her. He stepped out from behind the front desk, a smug expression on his face. His eyes gleamed with a sense of satisfaction, as though he thought this was a victory. He must have felt good about himself, but Sophia wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of seeing her upset. "Perhaps next time you'll make a reservation under your own name," Adam called out, his voice echoing through the quiet lobby. His words were loud and sharp, meant to make a spectacle of her. "We only host the Matthews Gala because Mr. Matthews is a valued patron. His wife is known for her exquisite taste, something clearly not everyone possesses." Sophia didn't flinch. She didn't respond with anger or frustration. Instead, she held her head even higher, her posture straight and dignified. She knew the truth, and that was enough. As she walked toward the grand front doors, she turned to face him just briefly, her voice calm and composed. "I'll be sure to pass along your hospitality to my husband," she said quietly, her words carrying a weight that Adam didn't expect. Adam chuckled to himself, the sound echoing in the lobby. "Yes, I'm sure he'll be quite impressed with your imagination," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Though I doubt he exists, much like your supposed connection to the Matthews." Sophia didn't let his words get to her. Instead, she turned toward the door, continuing her walk toward the exit. Adam's taunts may have stung for a moment, but she knew that in the end it wouldn't matter. He could say whatever he wanted now, but in just a few short hours, everything would change. As she reached the door, she glanced back for a moment. The guests in the lobby had gone quiet, and some of them even seemed to avoid looking her way. She could feel their judgment, but it didn't bother her. She was leaving, but she wasn't defeated. She smiled to herself, knowing that the best way to respond to people like Adam was simply to prove them wrong. Sophia stepped away from the Horizon Resort, her pace steady and unhurried, as though the whole situation didn't bother her. She could feel the eyes of the resort staff following her, their gazes filled with judgment and curiosity, but she didn't let it affect her. She had been through too much in her life to let the whispers and stares of others get under her skin. As she walked down the street, the cool breeze from the ocean brushed against her face, offering her a moment of calm. She made her way to a quiet cafe by the harbor, a perfect little spot where she could relax and gather her thoughts. The view was beautiful, boats gently bobbing in the water, the sunlight sparkling on the surface. It was the kind of peaceful place where she could let the chaos of the past hour fade away. Sophia walked in, ordered an iced tea, and took a seat at a table near the window. She checked her watch, an understated piece that had belonged to her father. It wasn't fancy, but it meant something to her. The time read 1 hour and 40 minutes. That was the moment everything would shift, and she could already feel the pieces falling into place. Her phone buzzed, breaking the quiet moment. It was a message from Diane, her trusted executive assistant. Sophia picked up the phone, her thumb scrolling to read the text. Sophia didn't flinch. William's temper was well known in their circles, but she wasn't worried. She'd faced far worse things in her life than a few harsh words. There had been plenty of times when people didn't believe in her, when they dismissed her simply because of how she looked or where she came from. But she had learned to keep moving forward no matter the obstacles. Sophia had worked multiple jobs while putting herself through school. She had juggled long hours at cafes, stores, and even as a cleaner, just to make ends meet. There had been times when people treated her like she was invisible, when they overlooked her for promotions or dismissed her ideas, simply because she didn't fit their mold. But she didn't let any of it stop her. William had always wanted to step in, to make things easier for her by using his power and wealth to shut down the prejudice she faced. But Sophia had insisted on handling it herself. She didn't want to be known just as his wife. She wanted people to know who she truly was, for her ideas, her hard work, and her values, not for the man she married. Those who judge books by their covers, she had told William once, after a particularly bad experience at an event, deserve the surprise when they find out what's inside. Sophia sipped her iced tea, letting the chill of the drink settle her nerves. She had faced the world's unfairness so many times before. The glances, the whispers, the underestimation, they didn't matter anymore. She had learned to use those moments as fuel, letting them drive her forward. And now, as the final pieces of her plan clicked into place, she knew this would be another lesson for the people at the resort. They would see her for who she was, not for what she wore, or how she looked, or who her husband was. They would see her for her strength, her grace, and her ability to handle everything with dignity, no matter how hard it got. It wasn't long before an elegant black car pulled up in front of the cafe. The car's sleek design gleamed in the sunlight, and the soft purr of its engine, as it came to a stop, was like the sound of something important arriving. The door opened, and the driver, Maria, stepped out in a crisp uniform. She walked over to Sophia with purpose and handed her a garment bag and a small suitcase. "Miss Diane said you needed these urgently," Maria explained, her tone polite and professional. Sophia smiled, her calm demeanor still in place, despite the whirlwind of events earlier. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said, grateful for the efficiency and quick thinking of her assistant, Diane. After a brief exchange, Maria gave a nod and stepped back to the car, leaving Sophia standing by herself once more. Sophia watched her drive off, and for a moment the world seemed to slow down. Everything was falling into place. The plan was working. Sophia made her way back into the restroom of the cafe. She could hear the quiet hum of the city outside, the clink of silverware, and the chatter of people. But for now, all that mattered was this moment. She entered a stall, closed the door behind her, and set the garment bag and suitcase down. Inside the small restroom, time seemed to stretch, but she didn't rush. There was no need to. 15 minutes was all it took. With each passing second, she shed the image she had been forced to wear, the simple woman who had been dismissed so quickly, and embraced the transformation that would take her back to the resort, not as an afterthought, but as the person she truly was. When she finally emerged, it was as though the entire world had changed with her. Her beige dress was gone, replaced by a stunning cream-colored designer ensemble that shimmered under the bathroom lights. The dress fit perfectly, highlighting her graceful figure and exuding elegance without being over the top. Her hair, which had once been pulled back in a simple style, now cascaded in soft waves around her shoulders, framing her face in a way that felt effortlessly beautiful. The final touch was a delicate diamond necklace, a gift from William on their first anniversary. The necklace glistened in the light, a symbol of the love and support William had always shown her, even when she had chosen to handle things herself. She looked in the mirror, taking in her reflection. The woman who had been escorted out of the resort just hours earlier was now transformed into someone else entirely. With her head held high and a sense of quiet confidence, Sophia left the restroom. She felt the change in the air around her, as if the world itself had shifted. As she walked down the promenade, the bustling cafe, the shops, and the restaurants seemed to notice her in a different light. Before, she had been invisible, just another person in the crowd, a simple woman in a beige dress, dismissed by the people at the resort. Now, as she passed by people sitting at tables or standing by store windows, she noticed the change in the way they looked at her. The glances were different this time. Where there had been no acknowledgement before, there was now something more: respectful glances, appreciative nods, and a few curious stares. The change was subtle, but it was there. She felt it. It wasn't just about the clothes or the diamonds or the way her hair fell around her face. It was the confidence that radiated from her, the quiet strength that no one could ignore now. She didn't need to shout or demand attention. She simply walked, and the world noticed. Sophia smiled to herself. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing the world that who she was couldn't be defined by her clothes or her appearance. She was more than what people saw on the outside. And now the time was coming when the people at the resort would learn that lesson in the best way possible. Sophia checked her watch just over an hour before William's arrival. Time to set the next phase of the plan in motion. She dialed a number on her phone, contacting Carter Jackson, the owner of the resort and an old friend of William's. After explaining the situation, Sophia asked Carter for a favor. He agreed, and soon after, she received the reassurance she needed. Consider it done. As the time ticked down, Sophia made her way back to the resort's private beach, the perfect location to watch William's yacht, the Odyssey, approach. The massive $150 million yacht loomed large on the horizon. As Adam and the staff scrambled to prepare, Sophia knew exactly what was coming. The yacht docked, and Adam, now visibly anxious, awaited the arrival of its passengers. The crew had been instructed to prepare a grand welcome, but Sophia and William's entrance would be anything but ordinary. As the gangway extended from the yacht, Sophia and William descended, side by side. Adam's face drained as he watched the scene unfold. The woman he had escorted out earlier, now transformed into a vision of elegance, was returning with her husband, a billionaire businessman whose yacht dwarfed everything in sight. In front of a growing crowd, Adam approached, but his words caught in his throat. "Mr. Matthews," he stammered, "I am deeply sorry for the inexcusable treatment Mrs. Matthews received today." Sophia raised a hand, silencing him. "Mr. Turner," she said, her voice calm but firm, "I believe we have a gala to prepare for this evening. Shall we continue our discussion inside?" She and William walked past Adam, the crowd parting to make way for them. Bernard had no choice but to follow them, his career hanging by a thread. In the privacy of the VIP lounge, Adam stood before Grace and William, humbled. "I am profoundly sorry for the inexcusable treatment Mrs. Matthews today," he repeated. Sophia regarded him thoughtfully. "You know, Mr. Turner, I grew up in a small town. My father was a mechanic and my mother was a waitress. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college." She paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. "I founded the Matthews Foundation with $5,000 of my savings. Now we raise millions for underprivileged children." Sophia's implication was clear. "I don't want you fired, Mr. Turner. That would be too easy. Instead, I have a proposal." Sophia continued, outlining her mentorship program for disadvantaged students and the establishment of a scholarship fund for hospitality management students. Adam, realizing the weight of her words, agreed without hesitation. As Sophia and William left, their sense of justice and quiet power was evident. Sophia's handling of the situation was a masterclass in humility and dignity. Sophia's story is a powerful reminder that true wealth is not in appearances or material possessions, but in character, dignity, and how we treat others. In a world that often judges based on surface-level perceptions, Sophia's quiet strength and wisdom proved that justice and humility can deliver the greatest revenge. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more powerful tales that remind us what truly matters in life. From which part of the world are you watching? Let us know in the comments below.